Well, all right. Welcome to Live Life Driven. Thanks for tuning in. I'm sitting here with my co-host, Justin Farrington.
I am back in the great state of Montana. Thank you.
Hey, you know, what you do is really important. So we appreciate you going back and forth and doing your job. And, let's just say you're a first responder, and we appreciate your efforts.
Well, I appreciate you appreciating it, buddy.
Well, glad to have you here. I got a few topics for today that I wanted to cover. You know what was really cool about 75 Hard, we talked about this a little bit in one of the shows, is that part of 75 Hard is that you're required to read 10 pages a day of a book, something that, what was it, fiction?
No.
Or nonfiction.
Nonfiction.
Or,
right. Yeah, something, whether it be entrepreneurial type accelerant or some sort of self-help, something that you're going to get something out of. You're going to learn something.
Okay. So I wanted to rattle off a couple books I read during that time, as well as pre and post that really resonated with me. And they're all current. And then you can rattle off a couple years. And I think that that's going to give some value to our listeners. So if you're
can I just stop you for a second? Can I just play back how my last 36 hours have gone?
Well, I know you've been
just real quick.
You've been
just
driving.
Real quick,
yeah,
right?
Do it.
Okay, listeners, this is what happens, right? I work my shift 12 and a half hours, work 4 in a row. Next morning, get up at 2 a.m. Right? Pick up my stepsons, and we road trip here yesterday. We get in at midnight here. We left at 3 a.m. Get in at midnight, and I probably get to bed about 1 o'clock, and let's see, at 8:12 a.m., I get a text message from my neighbor, Jim Riley, this host. Welcome home, sun is shining. I would like to record at noon. Here are the topics. Right? And so here we're on the air because Jim makes shit happen.
We run a tight schedule.
Yes, and he tells me we have 20 minutes because he got another thing to do.
Well, we make shit happen, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So almost one of my favorite all-time books is Raise Your Game by Alan Stein Jr. If you're a regular listener to the podcast, he was on my show months ago, and he's an NBA performance coach. And this book is so filled with wisdom, and I like the structure because at the end of each chapter, he's got key points, things to remember. So as an example, here's a key point. Though it's made up of different people, a team comes together over a collective belief in an idea and a mission. Wow, good key point. And then he's got remember, right? So remember, success comes when commitment meets belief. Set goals that are both realistic and just reach out. Belief will help you cross the divide. So this is an incredible resource. It's Raise Your Game, Alan Stein Jr. A book that I've had, at the side of my desk for the last 20 years is a book called The Concise 48 Laws of Power, written by Robert Greene. And I've got a pocket edition in front of me right now, which is super small, fine print. But basically, it's historical lessons in the world. Most of it is in China and Europe. And it's how wars were fought and battles were won and different things like that. But it talks about the psychological side of the warfare and the generals and the leaders and the presidents, emperors at the time, and how they conducted, running their companies and countries, I should say. So it's called The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. That's a fun book. Also on my desk, you can never go wrong with Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This came out in the 70s, and it's just a great way to shift your mentality on how you think about things. And I know some of my listeners out there that are in business, this is a staple for them. So for the younger audience, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I'm sure you can download it. I've got an old paperback. These things, they used to make them in the 70s. So those are my 3 books for today. Froggy? What do you got?
Well, I'm not as prepared as you are, but off the top of my head, I don't have the books here in front of me. My first book, the one that you turned me on to, How to Make Shit Happen, that's by Sean Whalen, right?
Dude, that book is spectacular for a quick – you could read it in an hour, right?
If you were a fast reader. I'm not a fast reader, but yes, okay. The typical person can read it. I had a notepad and was writing notes down, but yes, 100%.
What I like, now I've got the inside of your books because I gave you that one so we can talk a little bit more about it. But what I love about Sean Whalen's book is that it is just brass tacks. You get your ass off the couch and do it. Don't Don't say I'm going to start next week or on the 1st. You start now, literally.
It's very raw.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, I love that.
And you got to be in the right place to accept that, right? Because the rawness of it and the realness of it is very impacting. And if you are not in the right place to accept that, you probably set that thing down until you are in the right place, I think. One of the things that I think it's on the first page. I think I've read it now 3 times. First page, hey, you want a better life? Be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
You want a better working relationship with your career? Tell the truth.
Yeah.
You want a better relationship at home? Tell the truth. That hit me like a ton of bricks, man. That first page right there, I knew I wasn't going to set that book down until I was done.
Yeah, it's a great book. Now, if you follow Sean on Instagram, he's got messaging all over the place, but nothing is as powerful as his book, I would say. So, anyways, love it. What's your next choice?
Next book, another book that I got from you, right? We're going to mention his name again on your podcast. Your life coach, David Meltzer. I read his book, Connected to Goodness. And this was something that it took me to a different place that I'd never even experienced where Meltzer talks about vibrations and the goodness and find the good in people and find the good in your situation and pay no attention to the other stuff, Very similar message to what Waylon had, but in a completely different tactful way. Not saying that Waylon was untactful, but Meltzer definitely has a way of getting to the end goal differently than Waylon does.
Yeah, absolutely. What I like about David, too, in his messaging, it says it all in the title with goodness. He talks about things flowing through him. So he says, I believe in making money because it's flowing through me and on to others, meaning his help or his support financially, physically, through his network, whatever it might be. So through his success, it flows through him and on to others. And I've personally seen that working with him in business, how he's helped me and has allowed me to thrive in my business consulting and life coaching. But it's also passed on to others. Here I am giving you these books. You're doing 75 Hard. I'm business consulting, new startups and things like that. So David lays out a great foundation. So he also has a new book out that I haven't dug into all the way yet. It's called Game Time Decision Making by David Meltzer. So, all right, you got one more for me?
I got one more. It's a book by David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. And it was basically a biography that he wrote about, he started back in his upbringing and everything like that, and then throughout the different phases and courses of his life. Excuse me. And I don't know if you follow David Goggins on Instagram, but he's
an animal, right?
Completely animal.
So I do follow him. I've seen some of his performances and the things that he's doing. Very impressive. So I guess I should be waiting for you to let me read that book.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that you hadn't read that. But, yes, I have that book. I'll bring it to you.
Yeah.
It's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, what he endured, not only what he endured, but he is completely mind over matter. Real quick, he talks about the mind having a tactical advantage over us, and the mind will always win if we let it. Mm-hmm. The mind is always going to choose the easier route. Let's sit on the couch, eat a pizza, as opposed to go out and run, 25 miles after we already worked a full day. And some of the goals that Mr. Goggins set for himself, I don't know of any other person that could achieve this stuff. I mean, I'm not going to spoil the book for you, but you're going to be wowed by the fact that he lost 100 pounds in 3 months just so that he could take the test to go into the Special Force Navy SEAL program.
Wow.
It's 100 pounds in 3 months.
Well, the power of your mind, most people undervalue. Like you said, they take the easy route. Let's eat the pizza instead of going out or preparing something healthy to eat, right? Or going out and working out. I mean, there's so many things. I think that's why it's important. Now, I don't do it, but a lot of these trendsetters and health gurus and business gurus, they all meditate in the morning.
Yeah.
It's part of their life, and I just haven't taken the time to do that. For me, my meditation is when I'm out running, kind of listening to something I like to listen to. Or
that's a huge thing that Meltzer does. I mean, I got that. Yeah, he talks about that specifically in his Connected to Goodness book.
Yeah.
That's something that I haven't been able to do either because I haven't put the time and energy into trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, we have, you mentioned vibration too. We've got a guest coming on. Her name is Jennifer, and she'll be on the next couple of weeks. She talks about the vibration of us and our souls and how we attract or detract people, and what we put out into the world. So it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Vibration.
It was a whole different concept. I never even thought of that. But yeah, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
Okay. Well, I look forward to reading that, which actually puts me right into the next topic I sent you. This is something I've said for a long time, I mean maybe 20, 30 years, is it's important. I always thought I'd write this book, Getting Off Our Butts, BUTTS, and literally getting off our butt to do that, right? So we all have an excuse why we don't do something, and oftentimes that requires us getting off the couch, off our butt to go do it, whether that's exercise or jump into business or read a good book. And it had me thinking today about things that we're reading right now in social media or we're seeing. And, people post up a lot of quotes, and we're going to talk about some of our favorite quotes in a minute. But the simple quote of make a difference, right? Make a difference. We scan through our social media and you see a quote that says make a difference. What do you do? Do you just read it and go on? Or do you actually digest that and go, well, shit, I'm going to make a difference today?
Yeah, something like that. When you can do two things. It just depends on how it hits you. It depends on what you're searching for when you're going through that Instagram. It depends on where your mind's at, right? It depends on what your schedule's at. It depends on whether you had a good night the night before or you're looking forward to the day or whatever. But if you're in the right frame of mind, it's like all this stuff that you promote, the answer is yes and everything. You got to be in that right mindset.
Yeah.
And if you realize that and you see that quote make a difference, right? You'll sit there and jot down, at least I will, 5 or 6 things. Well, no more than 5 things, to be honest with you. Actionable things, know. And go, this is what I'm going to do today.
Well, I think, wouldn't it be wonderful if we were all in a place where you pass by a quote like that says make a difference. I mean, I see it all the time, right? Because it's an important topic. If we actually said, you know what? I clicked the little heart. I like it.
Right.
Make a difference today. What could you do to make a difference today? And I think that goes along with all the other quotes we see. If we put a little bit more stock into what we're reading and we're so rushed with, maybe there'll be a lot more value out in the world. I posted this the other day because it meant something to me. Somebody had posted this, Brooke Hampton. It says, speak to your children as if they are the wisest, kindest, most beautiful, and magical humans on the earth, for what they believe is what they will become. And I thought, wow, how important is that statement if you've got kids? I live by the philosophy is what you believe is what you'll achieve, which is very similar to this. But this is talking about mentoring to my children, that same philosophy.
Right.
And, I really took that to heart. And, I started thinking about how am I talking to my kids and what am I, educating them on? What am I placing an importance on? You know, is it prayer before dinner or excusing yourself or saying thank you and all those other things? But I would love to see a society where we pay a little bit more attention to these quotes and actually do something about them.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up about kids and stuff like that. I have a 5-year-old daughter, and a lot of people, I was raised this way. You were probably raised this way. The belief is, as kids, you got so much to learn. You're gonna learn how to do this, and you're gonna learn how to do that. And you're gonna learn how to do this. But who are we being taught by? We're being taught by people who had their experiences, and my parents, right? Your parents, the same. Mm-hmm. So we're basically being taught their experiences as they perceived it, and as they understood it, and as they experienced it. But children are so. My daughter is so smart right now because she doesn't have any chaos influence in her thoughts, right? And the chaos meaning, my experience, I might have had a bad experience with this and be like, hey, you want to be careful about that. But she can look at that and go, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Right? It's crazy if you back it up and realize, hey, maybe you're the person who has skewed your vision where they see this beautiful thing. I mean, we're getting deep here. We can go in the woods on this, but that's a beautiful thing, right? It's like the naivety is almost completely rewarding.
Yeah.